talking to Jamar Lovelace. He is the head coach of the EC Glass Hilltoppers. Hilltoppers didn't have a good result on Friday, looking for a better one this coming Friday, but let's look back before we look forward. What went right against Heritage?
We got off the bus safely and got into the stadium safely and got out on the field and had warm up safely. Not a lot went right outside of that. I think a lot of our guys found out what playing big time football in a big time atmosphere is like. Other than the experience factor, because even bad experiences it's still valuable. So other than the experience factor, not much went right. They beat us in all three phases of the game and were much more ready and hungry to play than we were.
How much do you want to watch that film and show it to your guys?
We went back and forth. I think when you get served medicine like that, it's kind of two ways to react. The first one is watch as much of the bad as you can and coach it up and learn from it. And the second one is kind of flush it and move on. I think we do a good job of doing both. We broke it down much of the bad and. It's just a chance to coach guys up. And I think when you watch film of yourself, it's so revealing because it's you that's out there. And, I think you watch film of yourself a little differently from the high school perspective than you do when you're watching scout film and other teams.
Right.
So, just an opportunity for us to coach guys up and point out mistakes and have conversations about big time atmospheres. We're going to have more big games to play in big time atmospheres. And, just need our guys to really hone in on what's going to help them, what's going to be distracting to them, and to be able to have that in-game focus to execute every play.
We talk off air a little bit. I'm going to bring a conversation here a little bit. I'm not trying to get critical, but it's going to come out that way here. So you've got, let's say, between players and coaches, you've got 60 kids involved with the program. I don't think one person should feel bad about Friday. I think 60 should. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the thing is, it's football is so interdependent that, you don't need just a couple things to go right. You need a lot of things to go right, all arrows pointed in the same direction. And, when you don't get the result that you want, I think it's everybody, I always say football is the biggest look in the mirror job that there is. You get an immediate result on Friday night that's going to be indicative of the job you've done. And I think as a coach, it's always, you're always looking to see what I could have done better and how I could have had my guys better prepared. And, that even happens on wins. You're still going through that same exact process. And I think that's what coaching does is it's constantly looking to adjust and change and adapt to your kids and to what is helpful for them. And that same process is whether you win or lose. But when you do have a loss like on Friday night, it makes you it brings all those things to the table and everything is looked at in the most critical way.
Because we've talked about it before about the layman. And I think if the layman looked at one thing, he could almost look at what he saw Friday as opposed to what happened the year before. Special teams hurt because, obviously a snap's not good.
Yeah, special teams, even the protection
Yeah.
with snaps.
Yep.
We've had issues before. We got a super athletic punter back there in Dave Matthews, and he saved some that could have been, an even worse result than what took place. It's one of those things with a long snapper. You don't always have someone who's kind of naturally built for that, and it's not the easiest skill set to develop. And then when you put the pressure of playing on a Friday night in front of thousands of people, it kind of takes shape. And that's one of those things that we've spent a lot of time on, and we know that our attention to protection has to be better, but we also have to work our butts off on getting those snaps more consistent as the season goes on.
Biggest problem to fix from Friday on the field or between the ears for your guys?
I think between the ears, I think, obviously there's going to be physical mistakes that happen every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you can cut down and control any of the between the ear mistakes, then you give yourself the best shot. We always say it's not the biggest, fastest, strongest team that wins, but, it's a team that execute at the highest percentage. And for us, even through some physical mistakes, a lot of them start between the ears, and once you mess up between the ears, it's kind of the body's gonna follow suit, and it's not gonna be a good result.
Well, two-way street. I think if you're on the good side of a lopsided margin, you're worried about is my team going to slack off, and if I'm on the bad side of a margin, is my team going to slack off? So I think it's a two-way street that you got to worry about right there?
Yeah, I do. We responded well, and it's we know we play a super tough schedule, and we take all these losses as lessons, and we're always looking forward to getting that bad taste out of our mouth, and I think that's what it's like when you don't perform well on a Friday night. You want to get back to work and get back to practice, and then go showcase what your week of practices look like on that next Friday. So for us, we're very ready to get that bad taste out of our mouth.
Why is Liberty Bedford better this year than they were last year?
More kids. I think year two with Coach Womack being there and just learning his system, they spread you out, and they have a few kids who can win. I think one-on-one balls against a lot of different teams in the district. They're going to pose a threat. They do a good job on formations of getting the matchups that they want, and they got some kids that can really play. And just proud of them for how far they've come as a program and how hard those kids are playing. Even though we want to win every Friday night, you always respect your opponents, and we have a lot of respect for the way that Liberty Bedford's been working every year.
How healthy are you guys right now?
Healthier. We had some bumps and bruises on Friday again, and sometimes when folks ask me like how healthy we are, I'm like, it doesn't even matter,
Well, let me
because
let me let me ask it this way. I didn't mean to interrupt. You weren't healthy from a full perspective going into the game. No excuses. But you got banged up in the GW game with some key people, correct or
Yeah,
incorrect?
yeah, got banged up in the GW game. So we had some guys that were available against Heritage, not full strength. And it's gonna look that way this week as well.
Mm.
We've made an emphasis on practicing hard, and when you practice hard, I think you stand the risk of having some more bumps and bruises. But I think that for us, we thought practicing harder and upping in the tone of what every practice is going to look like is going to provide a better result on Friday, even if it does result in some self bumps and bruises. And so I think we're about as healthy as most teams are at the halfway point of the season, and we're gonna have guys ready to jump in and play.
I could argue Friday should be easier than Monday through Thursday.
That's the way
You know,
it's designed.
yeah,
Is you want to make the game as easy as possible. I think the hardest part about practice, which we had a lot of conversations with our guys, is you can up in the intensity of practice as much as you want.
right.
It's hard to. There's no score in practice, so there's no feeling that's going to give you. I'm down a touchdown or I'm down two scores and my back's against the wall. So I think you got to kind of self-create that feeling in yourself as you go about practice. Because that's the big difference between practice and game nights is, that scoreboard is going to lead to some certain feelings, and whether that's you pressing really hard or whether that's you realizing exactly where you stand and what you got to do, you got to self-create that environment in practice so it brings out the best in you.
Jamar Lovelace can alter the practice schedule, but he can't alter the intensity in terms of, like you said, you can't make it a scoreboard. And really, you can't control who's going to go all out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, because what if they don't go all out that day? But they're a gamer, they're going to go all out Friday. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
we talk about that all the time with our guys too, and how it's a we don't ever want to play to the terms of whether we're down two touchdowns, up two touchdowns. There's a standard that we want to play to at all times, and obviously we always know the score of the game and how much time is left and what quarter's on the clock. But one of the terms we use is that we want to be blind to the scoreboard, and in terms of that, we're going to play to the hardest of our ability every single play for 4 quarters, despite what the scoreboard says.
Finish this sentence for me, and you cannot say if we have more points. We are going to beat Liberty if blank happens.
We play hard and play together. I
Sounds
think
simple.
that's the biggest key for us is, playing hard and collectively playing hard. Not 6 or 7 guys on one play, but all 11 guys every play.
Best of luck on Friday.
Thank you. Appreciate you, sir.
Jamar Lovelace on the Sports Buffet podcast.